Were you told you were shy? Do you identify as shy? Do you hate that word now? Do you just wish you could get over it and get on with your life? Welcome to Shining Beyond Shy, empowering you to create a greater life than you ever thought was possible. With your Shining Beyond Shy host, Fiona Cups. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Shining Beyond Shy. And I'm your host, Fiona Cups, and I'm calling this week's episode Enjoying Your Body. Can you believe it? Enjoying Your Body. And I'm calling it this because of my recent trip to Dubai and to Kuwait, where I was blown away by the courage of some of the women who came to the classes I offered there. And the particular class that I'm talking about is a class that I offer called Falling in Love with Your Beautiful Body. So for those of you who are from, I guess, Western countries, we have our own set of challenges around, well, enjoying our bodies, falling in love with our bodies, the culture around bodies. And I've talked a lot in other episodes how my dad was very verbally abusive. But one of the things that I think was really difficult for him was, as I grew up, came to puberty, as I started to become a young woman in my own right. I think that was really, really difficult for him. And I think he was pretty abusive around all of that. I remember wearing makeup once and he was like, how dare, blah, blah, blah. And the clothes that I wanted to wear, the shoes I wanted to wear, etc., etc. It was just another way for him to abuse me. And it contributed to some of the difficulty I had around enjoying my body, around loving my body. And we talk in Access Consciousness about communion with the body. So this is where we have Fiona the being and the body that I have in this lifetime, and about having that yummy communion. And how can you have that when you're taught really that your body is something to be ashamed of, that, you know, in my case, I shouldn't decorate my body with makeup, with beautiful clothes. And really the implicit message was, what was I doing actually growing up from his, you know, little girl into a sexual being? That was the implicit message beneath all of that. And all of that, and we've talked about this in other episodes, how shyness is totally about the body as well as about the voice. And it led to a space for me where I'm willing to own the beauty of my body. And anyway, so, and if this is bringing up stuff for you, let's just do this. Everything, all the energy, me talking like this about this brings up, would you destroy and uncreate it? And now I'm going to say the Access Consciousness clearing statement: right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And what that will do is, any kind of resonance you have with what I'm talking about, anywhere that it brings up stuff for you, it just allows that energy to release. And if you don't know the Access Consciousness clearing statement, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and read more about it. For now, if it's required again, I'll continue to use it in this episode. So yeah, so that's for us. Well, a lot of us watching this are likely to be from Western countries. Well, let's call them Western countries, fun. And there I was in the Middle East, in Dubai and Kuwait, where, I mean, people showed these ladies, it was all ladies in the class, falling in love with your beautiful body. Some of them, not all of them, showed up in the long black, I can't remember, I mean, I learned the word when I was there, I can't remember what it's called, but the long back coat or cover, and with the shawl over their hair. And then some of them would take that off in the company of other women in the class. And some of them kept it on, and then some of them don't have their head covered at all, or their hair covered at all. And some of them are kind of in between. But as far as I could tell, there was nothing in the room around, you know, some of the women who did choose to be more covered, judging the ones who chose something different. And definitely I didn't feel judged for the way that I dressed and behaved. Not at all. All I felt from these amazing women was gratitude that I'd chosen to be there and was sharing my story. So I always start my classes with telling a little bit about my story as it relates to the subject of the class. So in this case, falling in love with your beautiful body. I had a beautiful body when I was younger. I was not in love with her. Started to be way more in love with her and way more grateful for her as I've grown older. And which is interesting, because that in itself is something that's not supposed to be possible. It's like you're supposed to dislike your body more as it gets, whatever, changes occur as we become older. Not the case with me, mainly not the case with me at all. I have an appreciation, a gratitude, and an enjoyment of my body that I never had when I was younger. So back to Kuwait and Dubai and these amazing women, and it's like some of their stories, because you imagine my story of my dad not wanting me to turn into a sexual being, my story of my dad shaming me for wearing makeup, shaming me for, well, for growing up. And in their culture, I don't even pretend to know a lot of stuff that goes on, but let's just say there were women in the room in their 40s who were still living with their extended families. So unmarried women still living with their extended families. And one of the times that the women there are allowed to have their freedom are where they're studying. So a lot of these women have MAs and, well, degrees, MAs, and even PhDs. And they've gone off to other countries and had their freedom. And then mainly they've had to come back, if they haven't got married, they've had to come back and live with their families again, and all the restrictions that creates. And you can imagine, well, it's funny because I was staying in a hotel where on the Saturday, or I think it was the Friday morning. So Friday is a public holiday in Kuwait. So on the Friday morning in the breakfast hall, there were lots of local people there who I guess came to enjoy their breakfast in a nice surroundings. And there were some tables of older women, and I remember the word there, abaya is the long black thing. She says eloquently. So so this one day, there were like several tables of older women who had basically, in my sense of it is, they've forgotten their bodies under these abaya and under the shawls covering their hair. And they just watched them just eating and eating with no reference to whether their bodies required the food. And my sense is no connection with their bodies at all. It's like they just literally covered their bodies in these abaya and forgot about them. That's my sense. And when I said that in class, and it was mainly, well, actually it was women of all ages in class, but some of the older women were very different, really different from those women in the hotel. And everybody laughed, but I think it was a kind of a laughter where they could recognize, oh yeah, there's some truth in that. Anyway, so you imagine in the culture I come from, so from the UK, where choosing to enjoy your body is, well, it's already a brave choice. And obviously, you know, society's moved on. It's not like we're stuck in the Victorian age still. But actually, my mum, in a way, was pretty Victorian in her attitudes. So that's the background I've come from. And these women, the culture of Islam, the very idea that as a woman you could enjoy, you could be in connection with your body, you could be in communion with your body. And it's just outside of what's possible for a lot of them. And some of their stories, which obviously I won't share here, but some of their stories just touched me so deeply. And it's just that space where they are willing to ask for something that's so far beyond what their culture says is possible, so far beyond what most women are experiencing in that country. And I just found it really, really beautiful. And I suppose I was thinking it's like in the context of shining beyond shy. Yes, we can have shyness with our body, but in a culture like that, the women are taught, I think, to be shy. They're taught, and shy kind of includes that shame of your body. And again, all the energy that's on that, the shame of the body, the shyness of the body, the lack of the right to enjoy our bodies. Let's destroy and uncreate that. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. What if there can be something completely different available with our body? And in a very, it's funny because I have for a while now, I'm going to say 15 years, I don't even remember, maybe it's 10, I have really enjoyed moving my body and dancing. It wasn't something that I had when I was younger. I had lots of points of view about dancing, didn't enjoy it, felt really ashamed of my body, blah, blah, blah. Same story, really, that I just said with my dad led to that effect as well, not enjoying moving and dancing and showing my body. And so I'm now prioritizing a life where I get to move my body, I get to dance, I get to enjoy in that way. And that's what's fun for me at the moment. So I'm just going to ask you to tune in with you. What's fun for your body? What is your body asking for? And, you know, when I say that, when we think of enjoyment, we tend to go to sex, and it certainly includes sex. It's like, what? I'm going to Montenegro tomorrow, and Montenegro has this beautiful, beautiful scenery. And I've been a bit of a city girl recently, and I'm like, wow, I'm really looking forward to hugging a few trees, to putting my feet in the sea, and maybe even swimming. It's a bit early, but who knows? It's like, that's what my body is asking for when it can't dance. I mean, I think at the moment, I'm just preferring dance to trees and nature. But what if we can have it all? What if we can have it all? And what does your body desire? What if you could tune in, be present with what your body is desiring? Okay, that's everything I think that I'd like to say about this for now. Obviously, this is all ongoing, unfolding. There will be more about shyness in the body and loving our bodies. So if this has been a contribution to you, I invite you to like the podcast. I invite you to share the podcast. What if every shy person on the planet could have these simple tools that can start to change their experience of being here in these bodies, with these voices, creating our lives here? So please, I invite you to share this episode, this podcast, with anybody who can benefit from it. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I'm so grateful for you. It would be great if you could subscribe. Great if you could even review wherever you're listening. And if you'd like some quick, simple tips to overcome shyness wherever you are, please go to my website, fionacuts.com, where you can download my free product, 5 Steps to Overcoming Shyness Wherever You Are. Thank you again, and see you next time.